Come on up, address yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mike Dambra. I live in 106 South Roosevelt in Moscow. I believe the woman had a legitimate point. However, I don't believe it's the dogs of these people here. It's been my experience that people with hunting dogs have turned their dogs loose out there to chase birds. That's what I've seen in the past. And like I say, it is not these people here that keep their dogs close and under control. So it's a totally different group of people that have created her situation. So that's what I'd like to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Mayor.
Mike, would you take a question from one of our counselors, please?
So how do we do that? Do we enumerate the people here tonight as being the people permitted to take dogs off leash at the park and tell others they can't, or how?
Well, we're more of a self-policing group, and hopefully,
and I can appreciate that.
You know, and people going out trying to train hunting dogs, whether you have an ordinance or not, they're going to take their dogs out and turn them loose. We want to be under the auspices of doing it correctly. And that's what this is all about. You know, and enforcement, if somebody comes out and people go up to her house, you know, I can understand why she'd be upset. But like I say, the dogs that I've seen playing out there from these groups, they mostly stay right in a small group, and they're under the control of their owners by voice command. They don't roam freely. They don't cross the creek. Fencing would really be unnecessary because these dogs stay with their owners. And that's what we're proposing and what we hope to see happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a question for Dwight. Go ahead, Mike. Sit down. Thank you. Dwight, we earlier on the slide presentation saw 11 rules for people, and those 11 rules will be posted out there, will they not?
Yes, absolutely.
So the point I'm trying to make is the rules are not posted out there right now.
Well, actually, the rules are posted
the
there.
same ones that you have here?
Oh, no, because this isn't the law right now.
Okay. So the point that I'm trying to make is, if this does in fact go through, those rules will be posted out there.
Yes.
And so that should be a way of helping police an issue.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Your Honor, if I may.
Gary?
Also, if you have an animal that leaves the off-leash area and it roams at large in the city, it's in violation of our current code and the code, even if you amend it tonight. So an owner could be cited if the animal were to leave that area.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead. Let's take more public comment. You'll have a chance to comment here. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and councilors. My name is Virginia Rankin, and I live at 312 North Garfield Street. And I think that the what just was talked about is really important, because when we're there in the park and we see someone doing something that's totally wrong, we go up to them and nicely tell them that. But if this were a law, and if we had a sign to point to and say, hey, you're not really following the rules, it would give us more power, and it would empower us to be able to keep the park, because that's what our goal is. We want our dogs and other dogs who can behave themselves to have the park. And so I don't think that I have ever had anybody angry at me, but if I'll see a dog use the park for the bathroom and I go over and I say, hey, you know what? I don't think you have a bag for that. And they'll take it and they'll pick it up. You know, so it's the kind of thing that you can do if you have the city behind you. But otherwise, we're just people who are complaining to them. So I really think it's important that we have this pass. And I did a little research, and I find that there are, in the 2010 census, they found that 47% of people in the United States in households have dogs, 1, 2, or more. So if we take 47% of the households, the 9,000 households in Moscow, that comes to 4,230 dogs. Now, if you'd only take a quarter of those dogs and on a Sunday afternoon go to the dog park, you'd have on 1 acre of land 1,057 dogs. And I think we all know that's not working. So we do need more space, and I know that Dwight's group has, Park and Recs, have really worked hard and put this on their agenda for the future. But I'm seeing it happen now, and the need is for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Lisa Klieger, and I live at 722 South Lynn, and my daughter works at Safeway. You know her.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, she does. And I have a little dog, and I tried to take him to the dog park, and he just like, Mommy, I can't go in there because all these big dogs are there. So I took him to Mountain View. This is several years ago. He just loved it. He just ran, and never, I could control him and get him to come with me. And I met these wonderful people out there, and the dogs are very well behaved. They really are. The dogs that have gone on to this lady's house, I feel very bad about that. I'm not certain those are the dogs that are in that park, and perhaps maybe there could be some fencing in that one area so dogs couldn't go through that field. Perhaps there could be something like that. But it's a much bigger place. The joy, this is maybe sounds kind of crazy, but the joy the animals get out of being in that park and that the people get from it, you just can't measure that. The dog park isn't big enough. It's very muddy, and it's just not appropriate for my dog anyway, and I can't let him run anywhere else in town because it's not legal, and he'll run to the street anyway. So I really do hope that you will consider keeping this off-leash. It was off-leash for many years, and then it's on-leash. And it's really the only place my dog can really enjoy himself in the town. So I'm hoping you'll pass it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is David Griffith. We live at 1008 South Harrison Street, number 2. It's an apartment. And my wife and I own a 10-month-old Australian Shepherd named Merrick that most of these folks know quite well. Merrick is extraordinarily friendly. He loves other dogs. And Merrick's is an Australian Shepherd is a herding dog. I study range plant ecology. I'm a PhD student at the University of Idaho. And I'm from Virginia originally, grew up with herding dogs, working dogs, our family owned, hunting dogs as well as pet dogs. And having been raised around herding dogs and working dogs in particular, my wife really wanted an Australian Shepherd for a wedding present. And I was not aware at the time that Mountain View Park and the off-leash was not legal. I kind of was under the impression that Moscow is a dog-friendly town. I mean, that's what I'd heard. It was really quite shocking to me to realize, and this was really just a few months ago, that there's not only no off-leash areas in the city, there's no off-leash areas in the county. A friend of mine who for 25 years was the state shepherd for Idaho, the state experimental herds that were run out of the University of Idaho's animal program over at the university. He's also a stock dog expert. It goes along with sheep and cattle a lot of times in the American West. The Australian Shepherd was bred here, southern Idaho. It's part of the American West. The character of the American West is stock dogs, cowboys, and stock. And he and I figured out that the closest place that we could go to legally allow our dogs actually off-leash to run with each other, it's about a 35-minute drive. It's BLM land in south of Pullman. It was kind of a surprise to us. So anyways, it was part of my calculation in getting a sheepdog was the realization for the next couple of years before I finish up and we are looking for a place where maybe we can afford some land, I thought with the off-leash area at Mountain View that this would be something that we could have actually a working dog. They need room to run. Part of their training, part of keeping them healthy and happy. If you ever want a really miserable household, take a dog like ours and keep it in a 2-bedroom apartment 24 hours a day, and you might decide you don't love dogs so much anymore. But, anyways, as to the wandering dogs, and obviously I'm biased on this front, but I haven't seen that much. But I would like to say, leash law or no leash law, there always will be those people that are not going to control their dogs. That happens as much in town as it does out at Mountain View. If you've been walking around this town in the evening, you've met dogs that were off leash, right? Whether they get out of people's yards, whether people do it intentionally or not. 99% of the time, it's not a problem, right? It's startling, but it's, and my point being is I think, and from where I've lived elsewhere, the appropriate thing is to regulate the bad behavior, punish the bad behavior, not just assume that all dog owners are allowing bad behavior. So, that's it.
Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much for giving us this time. I'm Sandy Billings. I live at 312 North Blaine. And I just want to say that many people don't have kids at home, even if they used to be at home. Yet, even those of us without kids at home support parks and recreation for kids. And one of the reasons we do that is because, among other benefits, we know that exercise and socializing really helps to build good citizens. Well, many of us also have dogs, whether we ever have had or don't have kids. And while they're not kids, they're part of our families. They really are. And we want for our dogs to also have all the good things like exercise and socialization, because socialization and exercise makes for really good canine citizens as well. So that's what we're aiming for here. It will make them better, all of our dogs better, whether they're in the park or not in the park, and make them happier and healthier, as well as the people. Now, there are a lot of smart people here on the city council and that work at the city, and you've managed to handle the liabilities and risks issues for the kids, so I'm confident that it can be done for the dogs as well. And of course, we're all willing to help if we can have this one park of all the parks in the city available when it's not used for other purposes for off-leash dogs. And I really hope that you'll pass this as well. The city's going to reap benefits from doing so. You'll be decriminalizing an activity that is a primary use at the park already. It'd be creating good canine citizens and, of course, implementing your own master plan. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions?